Imagine stepping outside on a warm summer evening and looking up at the sky as clouds drift slowly across the fading light. It feels calm, familiar, and safe. Now imagine that same sky, but stripped of everything you know. No blue color, no oxygen-rich atmosphere, no birds, no plants, no life of any kind. Just thick volcanic gases hanging over a fiery world, lightning tearing across the sky, and a sun far more intense than today. Or picture the way rain gently falls during a storm. We think of rain as water, nothing more. But what if billions of years ago, rain carried something else? Tiny molecules built in the upper atmosphere, drifting downward drop by drop, slowly collecting in ancient oceans and pools. And think about all the times you've seen big questions about life's origins in documentaries or articles. Usually they talk about hydrothermal vents, meteorites, or primordial soup. But perhaps you've wondered, could something even more widespread, something global, have helped seed the earliest building blocks of biology? Maybe you've heard that early Earth was a harsh place, but what does that really mean? What did the sky look like? What was happening in the air long before cells existed? And is it possible that the atmosphere itself was quietly performing chemistry that helped life begin? These questions are at the heart of an intriguing new study, one that suggests that Earth's ancient sky wasn't just empty space above the oceans. It may have been an active chemical factory, continually generating molecules that life would one day rely on. So here's the mystery. Could Earth's atmosphere, long before the first cell existed, have been creating some of the earliest chemical ingredients for life? What if life didn't begin only in deep-sea vents, or only in warm little ponds, or only from meteorites delivering organic matter, but from a global cycle powered by sunlight, lightning, volcanoes, and the chemistry of the sky itself? And if this is true, what does it mean for early Earth, and for the search for life on other worlds? These questions push us to look upward, not downward, for life's first clues. Open your mind, follow your curiosity. Welcome to the Center of Curiosity. Before diving into the new research, we need a simple foundation. Early Earth, more than 3.5 to 4 billion years ago, looked nothing like the planet we know today. The surface was largely ocean, volcanic land masses were small and unstable, and the atmosphere was thick with gases released by constant eruptions. There was no breathable oxygen. The sky would not have been blue. Instead, it was dominated by carbon dioxide and nitrogen, with large amounts of water vapor from evaporating oceans. Smaller amounts of methane, hydrogen, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and other volcanic gases mixed into this primitive air. The sun was dimmer, but far more active. It emitted stronger ultraviolet radiation that reached the surface because no ozone layer existed to block it. Lightning storms were common. Meteorites frequently bombarded the planet. And crucially, no cells existed yet. Life had not begun, but the basic atoms, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur, were there. What scientists want to understand is, how do these simple ingredients assemble themselves into the complex molecules needed for life? To appreciate this, it helps to know the difference between a simple molecule and a biological one. Simple molecules include things like CO2 or H2S, just a few atoms arranged together. Biological molecules, however, such as amino acids, lipids, sugars, and nucleotides, are larger and more intricate. They require energy and very specific chemical conditions to form. For decades, scientists have explored several major theories. Some propose that lightning and volcanic gases created organics in warm pools. Others believe deep-sea hydrothermal vents produced the earliest chemistry. Some think organic molecules arrived from space on meteorites. The new study doesn't replace these ideas. It adds something else. The possibility that Earth's ancient atmosphere itself was producing sulfur-containing organic molecules important for early life. To understand why this research matters, it helps to explore the history of how scientists have tried to explain life's origins. The search began long before modern chemistry existed. Early thinkers in ancient Greece speculated about spontaneous generation, life forming from non-living matter. Much later, during the Enlightenment, experiments disproved that everyday life can arise spontaneously. But the deeper question remained: how did life begin on a lifeless planet? In the early 20th century, Russian biochemist Alexander Oparin and British scientist J.B.S. Haldane independently proposed that early Earth had a reducing atmosphere, one rich in hydrogen-containing gases. They suggested that energy from sunlight and lightning could turn simple gases into more complex organic molecules. This idea became known as the primordial soup hypothesis. In the 1950s, two young researchers, Stanley Miller and Harold Urey, designed an experiment to test this concept. They filled a glass apparatus with methane, ammonia, water vapor, and hydrogen, then zapped the mixture with electrical sparks to simulate lightning. After a week, the water turned pink and contained amino acids, the building blocks of proteins. This experiment shocked the scientific world and became one of the most iconic findings in origin of life research. Later, discoveries at hydrothermal vents in the 1970s and 1980s introduced a new possibility. At the bottom of the ocean, superheated water flowed through mineral-rich rock, creating strong chemical gradients and producing energy in ways similar to metabolism. Microbes living there today use sulfur-based chemistry, suggesting that early life might have thrived in such extreme environments. Meanwhile, chemists examined meteorites and found amino acids, sugars, and even nucleobases, the same kinds of molecules used in biology. This suggested that some of life's ingredients may have come from space. Each idea added another piece to the puzzle. But one area remained less explored: the atmosphere itself. Until recently, few experiments attempted to mimic Earth's early upper atmosphere with realistic gas mixtures and ultraviolet radiation. As models improved and researchers gained better tools to simulate high-altitude conditions, scientists realized they had overlooked a major part of the planet, a region where intense sunlight and abundant volcanic gases could drive unique kinds of chemistry. The new study builds on this growing understanding. It uses modern instruments and updated models to revisit an old question with fresh precision. Could early Earth sky have been a global chemical engine, generating molecules that later became essential for life? Now let's break down what the researchers actually did. They wanted to recreate the chemistry of Earth's ancient upper atmosphere, a region where gases are thin, ultraviolet light is intense, and charged particles from the sun interact with molecules in unique ways. First, they prepared a gas mixture that matched leading scientific models of early Earth. Carbon dioxide and nitrogen formed the background gases. Into this mixture, they added methane, hydrogen, and sulfur-rich gases like hydrogen sulfide, chemicals expected during periods of intense volcanism. Then they placed the gas mixture into a special chamber designed to simulate high-altitude pressure. Inside this chamber, they shined powerful ultraviolet lamps to mimic the radiation of the young sun. This light had enough energy to break apart simple molecules, allowing fragments to recombine into new forms. This process, molecules breaking apart and reforming under energy, is called photochemistry. It happens in Earth's atmosphere today, but the ancient atmosphere had far more intense conditions. After exposing the gas mixture to UV light for many hours, the scientists collected the resulting gases and droplets. They used sensitive instruments, like mass spectrometers and chromatographs, to analyze what had formed. These devices separate molecules, measure their masses, and identify their structures. The results were surprising. The ancient atmosphere simulation produced sulfur-rich organic molecules, including compounds similar to those built from the amino acid cysteine. Why is this important? Cysteine contains sulfur and can form disulfide bonds, connections between sulfur atoms that help proteins fold into stable shapes. Many enzymes rely on these bonds. Finding cysteine-like molecules emerging from atmospheric chemistry suggests that the sky could have supplied material crucial for early proteins. The experiment also produced taurine-like molecules and compounds resembling coenzyme M, a sulfur-containing molecule still used by certain microbes to metabolize methane. These aren't random organics. They resemble pieces of actual biochemistry. Although each molecule formed in small amounts, Earth's atmosphere is enormous. If this chemistry occurred across the entire sky for millions of years, the total production would be massive. Molecules created in the air could attach to dust particles, dissolve into droplets, and fall as rain, distributing organic material across the planet. This means the atmosphere wasn't just a passive layer above the surface. It was a global chemical reactor, constantly generating biologically useful molecules. Of course, real-world chemistry is never perfect. Early Earth's atmosphere is still debated. Some models suggest it was more carbon dioxide, rich and less reducing, which could change how efficiently complex molecules formed. Others argue that volcanic eruptions periodically produced bursts of reactive gases that temporarily made the atmosphere more conducive to organic synthesis. Additionally, UV radiation could both create and destroy molecules. Some compounds might have broken apart before reaching the surface. Rainfall could dilute organics, or they might react with minerals in ways that prevent further synthesis. Different environments on Earth, like hydrothermal vents, tidal pools, glacial regions, and volcanic lakes, had different chemistries. Molecules formed in the atmosphere might have needed very specific conditions to survive and participate in further reactions. Cultural and political influences also shape scientific interpretation. Some researchers favor metabolism-first models, while others support genetics-first pathways. Others argue for geochemical cycles involving minerals and water. Each perspective influences how new findings are understood. Globally, volcanic activity varied. Some regions were dominated by sulfur-rich eruptions, while others had different gas profiles. This means atmospheric chemistry may not have been uniform across the whole planet. Still, the new studies suggest that despite these complexities, early Earth had enough energetic processes, lightning, UV radiation, eruptions, to continually produce sulfur-rich organics in significant amounts. Here's the revelation that makes this study especially powerful. If early Earth's atmosphere produced sulfur-rich biomolecules, then life's origin becomes a planetary-scale process, not a localized event. Think of it this way. Instead of one lucky pond where everything happened by chance, the entire planet was participating. Every storm, every eruption, every high-altitude photochemical reaction contributed ingredients. This atmospheric pathway ties together several theories in a surprising way. Hydrothermal vents could assemble molecules delivered by the sky. Meteorites could add extra organics and minerals. Surface ponds could combine atmospheric compounds with energy from UV light or lightning. Instead of competing ideas, these become interconnected parts of one large system. Even more astonishing is the estimate the researchers made. Scaling their lab results to planetary size, they calculated that early Earth's atmosphere could have produced enough cysteine each year to supply the sulfur needs of 10 superscript 2 microbial cells if life had existed to use it. This isn't suggesting that many cells existed then, but it demonstrates how generous the planet could have been. The sky was not producing rare traces. It was potentially producing biologically significant quantities over millions of years. This also has implications for other planets. If atmospheres can naturally generate prebiotic sulfur compounds, then rocky worlds with volcanic gases and strong stellar radiation could produce similar molecules, even if they seem too harsh for modern life. Future telescopes studying exoplanets might detect atmospheric sulfur photochemistry as a sign, not of current life, but of environments capable of beginning life. Let's recap the entire idea. Early Earth's atmosphere was filled with volcanic gases, intense UV radiation, and constant storms. New experiments suggest that under these harsh conditions, the sky could have produced sulfur-rich organic molecules, including cysteine-like compounds useful for early proteins. These molecules could have fallen to the surface through rain or dust, adding to organics from volcanic environments, hydrothermal vents, and meteorite impacts. Rather than one origin of life pathway, early Earth may have had a network of interconnected environments: air, ocean, rock, and space, all contributing ingredients over long timescales. This makes the origin of life a planetary process, not a single event. So the next time you look up at the sky during a storm or watch lightning flicker on the horizon, imagine the same processes happening billions of years ago, not above a living world, but above a barren one. Picture droplets falling from ancient clouds, carrying tiny molecules formed high above the ocean. What feels like an ordinary sky today may once have been a world-spanning chemical engine, one that quietly helped set the stage for life. If Earth's sky once created molecules needed for life, what do you think the skies of other planets might be creating right now? Don't forget to subscribe for more curiosity-driven explanations.